Hi, everyone. Hi. I found my book. So, we're on the last 2 chapters. Oh my goodness, dude. Gotta tell you. Okay, Dreamscape. One of the most fascinating accounts of mind control. Hold on. I think I have something else happening. Oh. What? My iTunes decided to go on. Okay. I have no idea if this is even recording there. Okay. Hi, can you guys tell me if you're here? Because, oh man. Can you hear me? Please let me know if you can hear me on the comment section because my iTunes keeps popping on. Chapter 28, Dreamscape. It says 3 people are there, but nobody's responding, and I hope you can hear me. One of the most fascinating accounts of mind control from the perspective of a victim is provided by a woman named Jojo Carey, a successful 57-year-old artist who lives on a boat docked in Florida. Jojo is an intelligent woman who writes with lucidness and even wit about what has taken place to her and perhaps, according to her account, about a dozen other people in the same vicinity in the last few years. Perhaps significantly, Ms. Carey is an ex-employee of the CIA. Who worked on their French desk in the United States in 1959 to 1960 and has a 35-year history of supporting human rights movements in print. For Carey, the torture began in 1995. While in a dispute with her ex-husband and some of his friends, including an ex-Louisiana judge, she began to hear threats against her life. The threats, as described by Carey, were like a holographic sound system, 3D in fact, and seemingly encompassing whole city blocks around her. Damn, dude. The threats took on the form of completely scripted scenarios and were played 5 or 6 times during the day and continuously at night, terrifying her and depriving her of sleep. The voices behind the threats said that they were DEA and Marine Patrol. In March of 1995, while feeling as if she was in a strangely drugged state, the voices turned into an interrogation taking place at the level of thought. Another time, 4 voices in an elaborate scenario demanded that she leave the area in her boat and threatened her with physical harm if she did not comply. She was told to pack a bag and wait for a Marine Patrol boat to come and pick her up. Later, she was told to dive in to the water and go under the hull of the boat to find out where the voices were coming from. Carey comments that another woman had recently drowned in the area. The woman had been hearing voices prior to her suicide. She also notes that the famous alleged mind control victim Candy Jones almost drowned. Later, she was told that someone would come by with a gun and that you'll know what to do with it. This continuing assault, along with sleep deprivation, she believes, gradually drove her into a state of shock and dissociation. A friend of hers happened to visit her on her boat, and Carey went unconscious. The friend drove her to a hospital emergency ward, where she woke up in a hysterical state still overwhelmed and with intercerebral voices. Carrie was checked into a crisis stabilization unit and put on suicide watch. She says, "I had no idea then it was only the beginning of a 3-year, 9.5-month-long nightmare from hell, and that 200+ near-death trips would follow." While she was in the CSU facility, the intracerebral interrogation continued, asking me to give them people, organizations, events in my life. I didn't know then that meant hand over, tell on, everything I knew about the people involved. They'd mentioned a person, group, or organization like a local grassroots civil rights group, then prowl my thought patterns. Among the sounds that she believes were injected into her mind were sounds of cats being tortured. She was told that they were her pet cats. Her friends were also threatened, and she was told that if she did not keep quiet, her friends would be killed. Carrie says similar scenarios went on every night for the next 17 days, for hours. This was reinforced about a week into the stay by a 3D holographic sound kidnap trip. I heard a group of people come into the unit and demand I be handed over to them. Did not see the persons, men. I was told they were going to put me on a boat, take me into the Gulf Stream, handcuff me into an inflatable, then sink the inflatable raft with me cuffed to in it. It scared the hell out of me. It was meant to keep me in the CSU unit. I was told the men were DEA agents. After Carrie was released from the CSU unit, she returned to her boat. She was given a deadline to leave the area, and then, for the first time, began to be hit by shocks to her head, in what she believes was an attempt to drive her from her boat. According to Carrie, she was told she was going to be shocked before it happened, and that "we'll make it clear." From pinprick level shocks to bee sting level shocks would hit my head. I went deeper into shock, my mind running on survive only, memories blanking, being erased, time blurring. A lot of interrogation went on about what I had of value anywhere in the world, on info I had on other people, and where they kept their valuables. She says there is a specific language to what I hear, at least 2 to 3 up to 8 to 12 inputs all at once. Neuro-linguistic programming occurs. A lot of double meaning words or phonetically sounding words with different meanings, sometimes in different languages. A high-pitched ringing always accompanies what is happening, several different pitches at once. Also in the background is some sort of sound curtain that echoes like the sound of 18-wheelers driving on an 8-lane highway in the rain. The audio inputs ride on them and on those sounds. Probably some kind of voice changers are used. Some of the inputs might be linear radio or laser-borne signals, both of which can carry infrasound. There's a two-parter to what's going on. The baiting. The scenarios are evidently an external input. The high shrieking voices. These are probably infrasound inputs used here as well as in an echo effect. Also, radiohypnotic intracerebral control texts and EDOM, electronic dissolution of memory. Hypnosis is used, probably Erickson dual induction methods. Repetition of negative programming, negative suggestion, and elicitation of fear and reaction is also constant and used from dawn till sleep all day long. It equates to a high-tech, anonymous, filthy phone call you can't hang up on anywhere you go. What I hear, the baiting, is always vicious, sadistic, threatening, derisive, mocking, hurtful, physically and, of course, mentally, sexually aberrant, filthy, in fact, geared to put anyone on edge or over an edge. It is deliberately designed so that when repeated, it matches schizophrenic criteria. Anyone with the basic sound equipment and a DMS IV psychiatric diagnosis manual, DMS-4 manual, can come up with scripts that match diagnostic symptoms and aim them at an innocent victim who ends up nuts resultant. At one point in the latter part of May 1995, she sat all night in a chair outside of the hospital drop-in clinic while a very unfavorable biography on herself was read to her by a male voice. In the morning, she was told, "You did not do what we told you to, so we're going to give you a heart attack and a stroke." According to Carrie, I fluffed it off and went for coffee. As I stood on the drop-in center porch, I felt a sudden pain, as though I'd been shot in the chest. One of the drop-in unit's staff called an ambulance, and Carrie was taken to the hospital again, watching my printout do a Bolshoi ballet and Martha Graham dance on the heartbeat. At the hospital, Carrie was given an MRI and then dismissed, told that she had only had an anxiety attack. Carrie characterizes her condition for months after that as being in shock. The interrogation by Summer took a new twist. The audios began to tell me, just as a thought was forming, what I was thinking. Before I could fully form a thought, then began editing these forming thoughts. That sent me back into deep shock again. From then on, for months, I'd be told what I was going to do before I did it. Carrie describes the continuance of perhaps 1,000 different scenarios that played out in 3D sound around her, including an extraterrestrial contact scenario and one scenario where she believes she was hooked up to the brain of a dolphin. One of the few pleasant experiences in all of this, imaged to me inside calm, beautiful ocean, endless space, a sense of oneness with ocean, peace and quiet, joy in being there with her, a dolphin named Anessa. She's real. Took off from the Dolphin Research Center on Grassy Key before Hurricane Andrew. I learned from other sources. Transplants, implants were tried on her, not on record. No one will go on record with that. Probably associated with the Janus Project research into interspecies communication, an Air Force John Lilly project, and DoD First Pilot Association project. I looked up the project and talked with people in the know. A lot of the staff were on LSD while coming into the dolphins. Some of the dolphins in Janus committed suicide after killing other dolphins as a reaction to intracerebral access, on record in Lilly's research. Carrie notes, about 15 to 20 years ago, a transplanted tribe of Hmong from Nam, Vietnam, in Texas were dying of nightmares, about 24 of them. They probably died as a direct result of the dream state mind control agenda. By September of 1995, Carrie was discontinuing the use of psychiatric drugs that had been prescribed for her in an attempt to get at the nature of what was going on. Using the library and a grassroots research team, she read everything that was available on the subject of mind control, as well as a good deal of material that is normally inaccessible. She says, I wandered across Delgado's work at Stanford and discovered that Delgado was translating brain waves into words in 1977 before his work went classified context. And that was the concept for the Janus Project, Janus, which involved real-time / past time on human thought, which gave me the answer on how anyone could know what I was thinking and edit it before I was fully cognizant of what I was thinking. When neurons fire chemically and interact, a 1.5 to 3 second window exists between cognizing one's own thoughts and the actual real-time firing. That chemical firing can and is being computer accessed before a person can cognize, know, think their own thoughts. Carrie believes that this technology is the basis of current computer-to-pilot interfaces and says that once she understood this, she realized what was happening to her. She also believes that the technology is probably run through a surveillance satellite system. This is also now called synthetic telepathy. Carrie says the interrogation methodologies have been identified by a former PSYOPs expert at the local American Legion, retired, as East German, definitely KGB origin, classic, and beyond his training, scares the hell out of me, he said. Carrie speculates, if I were to call this one, I'd almost say the KGB has married the CIA and the Italian mafioso interests and have Chinese thought reform experts on salary in being able to do anything from hitting a head of government, literally, to enacting a new world order, and somewhere in the middle of this is the deep throat equation. Follow the money. And so far, that the entire world economy is at risk by so-called non-lethal weapons that could cause war to break out in a Trappist monastery to World War III for 50 years into the future. That's a conservative estimate. A Zen master would be clubbing geese to death after this. Remember, this was written in 1995, you guys, this book that she wrote. According to Carrie, she is not the only one who is hearing voices in the area of the country she lives in. They have conducted extensive interrogation on me on a few cult-like murders down in Big Pine Key, which I know little of except from news reports, but told me the name of a man, Tom, who was arrested 6 months later for the murder of a pregnant woman and her husband. So they knew that 6 months before his arrest, which means they probably used this tech on him too. I have no idea if he's guilty or innocent. A prisoner in Key West was reported to be hearing demons prior to murdering at the Rum Runner bar its owner and wounding 3 other people. So was Louise a month ago at Key Colony Beach before her suicide by drowning. So was a boy in 89-90 from the Marathon Housing Projects hearing demons and chased out of a Key West on a bike and hit by 2 cars. There are a lot more reports of voices on scene, haunted houseboats in Key West, voices talking from funeral urns, people hearing angels, God the Father, Jesus, devils, all the same source probably. Bill Burke of Clovis, New Mexico, is another person who believes that he has some insight into the mind control technology that the U.S. government currently possesses. He believes they are using a technology called Dreamscape on him. Burke is a 46-year-old ex-Marine. 20 years ago, Burke checked into a hospital in the California desert town of Barstow for an ankle problem. Barstow is about maybe an hour to to an hour and a half from my hometown, which is where China Lake is, where Project Paperclip Nazi scientists came after World War II. He spent 3 days in the hospital and woke up with someone forcing something into his nose. Later in recovery at home, he woke up to find 4 uniformed military men standing by his bed. Apparently a holographic or mental projection, but one that carried with it the complete sense of reality. Burke believes that while he was in the hospital, he was implanted with a number of electronic control devices that are capable of projecting computerized images directly into his mind. The mind control projections began 3 months after he had been operated on in the hospital, and he has been tortured by them on a daily basis ever since. The mental projections, which he believes are projected through Dreamscape technology, vary. He is assaulted by electronic frequencies, by taunting speech, suicidal thoughts, and by semi-transparent images that are just as real as you and I. He feels constant pressure in his head, popping of the ears, swelling of muscles and other portions of his body, and the sensation of electric shock. Burke believes that the persons who are monitoring and manipulating him are employed by the Goldstone Tracking Station and the Jet Propulsion Labs. He believes that there is a brain interaction computer at JPL that is used to monitor mind control victims. My dad used to talk about JPL all the time. And he worked there. He was contracted. He was a contractor, and he worked at Jet Propulsion Labs quite a bit. How is one to evaluate the plight of a man like Bill Burke? At first glance, one would assume that Burke was the victim of delusion rather than government manipulation. But there is evidence that causes one to question that evaluation. To begin with, the kind of technology that Burke describes has been under development for a long time. And since most of this type of research is classified, it is not likely that we are aware of more than the most insignificant portion of this research. But there is more compelling evidence. Backing up Burke's story is that the implants he speaks of apparently exist. Burke has provided me with medical reports of X-ray examinations performed in 1995 by the Department of Radiology of the Plains Regional Medical Center in Clovis, New Mexico. Among the conclusions in the medical reports is that there are small metallic type densities seen just posterior to the superior aspect of the petrous bone on the right in the brain. Petrous bone. Also, one can see a very small fleck of what appears to be a metallic object in the area of the AC joint of the shoulder. In another report analyzing x-rays of his feet is noted impression retained foreign metallic bodies. An additional medical report dated May 18, 1998 notes there are some questionable foreign body objects in the base of his skull. Dude, the next chapter is One World Brain. All right. Oh, this is a tough one for me because I spent the majority of my life with synthetic telepathy and hearing voices and being told to commit suicide, and even in my sobriety. So this wasn't just, while I was drinking or whatever. This was actually in sobriety. Yeah. The only way that the voices stopped for me was when I left the United States, and I had trackers and implants all over my body, and I was able to, actually it started in 2012, 2013, I was able to actually destabilize the one on my foot, and within 24, like, basically energetically render it inactive, right? With another healer friend of mine. And so I learned how to deactivate them. And within 24 hours in 2013, when I did that to my ankle, there was a new laser scar there. I had been abducted, and a new tracker was put in. And then that scar did not end up healing. It just became this big, very crude line, whereas before it had been this tiny little white scar, right? And from a tiny little white scar, all of a sudden I had this huge crude line about this big on my foot. And then I got plantar warts as well, from that experience. I've never had a plantar wart up until that point, ever in my life. So that scar never properly healed, and it became like this weird thing, right? And then in 2016, when I left the country and I was in Budapest, my friend and I witnessed a timeline glitch right in front of us while we were having lunch. It was really more like breakfast, brunch, I guess. And we saw like a glitch in the matrix, and I woke up the next day and my scar was completely gone. I had no plantar warts. I had nothing. That was interesting. Then I was having a lot of problems. I was being targeted very heavily after I left the United States. Heavily while I was here, of course. But then I was like, they were under full assault while I was gone. So they derailed me. I missed a bus, a train, and a plane. I also missed a plane going from Paris to London. I had to take the bus underneath the English Channel. I mean, I went through so much crazy shit. And then when I finally got to England, what was really amazing is I met someone who was able to help me remove the tracker that was implanted in my back. And then I met someone else who was able to close up my open portal in my womb space that had been open most of my life. And it was just this gaping hole, basically, that was bleeding out my financial life. Like I couldn't retain any financials, anything. I couldn't be abundant. I wasn't receiving any money. It was crazy. So I managed to heal that. I did a womb cleansing and more than a womb cleansing. I sealed up the open portal in my womb that was allowing interaction with other beings. And for the first time in my life, I felt invisible. I felt like I wasn't being watched, and I was living in a town where there were no police, so it was really nice. It was just a peaceful town in England, and I felt safe for the first time. And I also then started making a ton of money out of nowhere. Like, once that was all handled, my natural flow of abundance just started pouring into my life, and I made $100,000 in 3 months, about. And because the exchange rate was so good, I was making $1.50 per pound. So I was just making a lot of money And it was good. It was really good for me to have that experience to. And so then I left again and traveled the world for a while. And my dad ended up dying during that time, and I had to come back to the US. And when I was here in the US, I was here for like 8 weeks, and it was hell the entire time I was here. And then I left again. And then I was like, I had to scramble to like pick myself back up on my feet again, right? And I was able to do it. And then I went to this small town in England again the following fall, the following August, and I started making money again. And I started pouring abundance into my life. And so I realized that this location, because I was a guardian of that portal and I was doing a bunch of spiritual work there as well, you know, I think that I was being rewarded on some level for, you know, having done what needed to be done on the land, right? And I was actually holding space for the land and what was going on there in that particular world portal. And then I came back to the US after traveling again, and all hell broke loose again, and I was heavily targeted for the first year and a half. Well, actually, I would say for the first year and a half until I moved into here. And I've been here almost a year now. So it's obviously much better. I have a very peaceful mind. I don't have any like talking voices or anything like that anymore. Not for many years. But there was a point in my life where I was fortunate enough that I had spiritual, like I had been studying spiritual principles, and I was able to really dismantle a lot of the demonic voices that I was hearing, and I learned protocols, and I learned how to recognize what was going on, and I created a system of healing to help support that, because there are so many people that are targeted. It's like pretty much everybody now, the whole population of the planet is being currently targeted, in my opinion. And so it is important that we understand what's going on a mass scale, because, you know, it used to be select people, right? It used to be people that were somehow involved in something or whatever. And now it's the population. Now it's the entire population. And some people don't even realize that it's happening, right? Where's my thingy? Some people don't realize, they're just living their lives. They don't even understand what's happening to them. They think it's normal. But I can guarantee you that what we're experiencing is not normal on any level. It is all by design. It has all been long in the making. Agenda 21 was first published in 1970, which is, that would make it 50 years old. So for 50 years, they have been planning Agenda 21, which is now Agenda 2030, through the World Economic Forum. And their plan for what they are doing to control the population and to wipe the population out, so that whoever's left is more controllable. So we need to understand what level this is operating on, because they're getting us through our dream state. They're getting us in our waking moments. They're getting us through control of us, telling us to stay home. They're getting us through telling us we are mandated to wear a mask, and that there's this scary boogeyman virus going around killing people. This isn't actually true. There's enough research that's been done now. There's a 70-page report that just came out proving and showing from medical doctors, nurses, virologists, tons of people proving that none of this is real. Was there a virus that spread or a bacteria infection that spread? Very possibly. Very possibly. I, for one, know what my participation was in it to sort of dismantle it early on so that it wouldn't be nearly as severe. And once you understand what is possible within the mental realms and the inner realms, I guess you could, the inner planes, your participation in the highest good can become exponential and beneficial for all beings, right? But if you're not aware of that, you think that you don't have the power to do things to support or change a situation. And prayer is simply that. Prayer is that. When you pray, and sometimes people are unconsciously, thoughts are things. Thoughts create reality. So if you're thinking negative thought forms towards another human being, you are directing dark magic towards that person. Negative thought forms do affect other people. It is real. And so it is really important to understand that you don't want to wish harm upon another human being. You don't want to wish harm upon anyone, right? Do no harm. But then there's a group of individuals on the planet that do what thou wilt, regardless of harm and how it affects someone else. And there are a lot of people that believe that they can do whatever they want to do, summon dark spirits to get the job done, and that there won't be consequences for them. But in fact, there are always consequences for our actions. We live in a system and a reality that has a direct result, a direct reaction to an action. And so if you are causing harm upon someone else or trying to manipulate someone else or have power over someone else, that will eventually come back to you. Unless, for whatever reason, you've circumnavigated the karmic impact that that will have on you. And there are people that can do that and do that. And that's how they've been able to operate as long as they have without consequence. But here we are, and there's a consequence for their actions and for their participation in human trafficking, satanic ritual abuse, murder, cannibalism, vampirism, drinking blood of babies, tortured babies. There is a consequence for your actions. They all knew at some point that it was possible that they were playing with fire and they would get burnt. And they're getting burnt. And so we have a political landscape that everyone is against one person. You have to ask yourself, you literally have to ask yourself why. It's not about his personality. Why would they go out of their way? They wouldn't care. Nobody would care. The reason they care is because they're getting taken out. They're getting taken down. They have had their assets seized. They have had their money taken because of their participation in human trafficking. 1 million children were just rescued in Australia from underground tunnels This is a fact, folks. All while Melbourne, Victoria, has been under lockdown. Stage 4, I think it is. We need to look at the facts. We need to do the research. We need to pay attention because what's coming is going to blast like a supernova through the matrix. And there will be no matrix when that is done. There'll just be Earth and humans and the truth. Thank fucking God for that. But mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, we need to prepare for what's coming. It's going to take some healing. And fortunately, there are a lot of people who already are mentally prepared and who know what's going on and who know what's about to happen. And they will be there for those that are going to get slammed with this information. Because these people that are in denial about what's happening are going to get hit the hardest. We're in a war. We are actually in a war. And people don't want to look at that. People don't want to admit that to themselves. They want to just think that it's all going to blow over after the election. No. This isn't going away for a while. World War II and World War I lasted for years. Okay? Vietnam War lasted for years. The Civil Rights Movement lasted for 10 years. The dark forces are not going down without a fight, you guys. Like, for real. We are in it now. We're on the front lines and we have to buck up. We got to man up. And we've got to stand in our truth. And if we are standing in what we think is our truth and that there's one person that's bad, we got to check ourselves. If we don't have all the facts and we haven't done the research, we better get on the fucking computer and start researching. There's a lot of information out there. It's not a fucking conspiracy. And the reason I say it that way is because I'm a survivor. So I know what's real. I know what's not real. I have discernment. And I'm very fucking clear. You can't make this shit up. You literally cannot make this shit up. It is real. It's a science. Satanic ritual abuse is a science, people. Mind control is a science. Wake up. Wake the fuck up. Now. Wake up. From your slumber. Do whatever you have to do to figure out what you need right now to survive for the next 6 to 9 months. I'm serious. I'm absolutely serious. Wake the fuck up. What's coming later is beautiful. What's coming later is a new world. And it may not look the way you expect it to look, but we cannot be in denial of what's happening right now. The only way out of this is through it. Period. We have to get honest with ourselves here, people. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir right now. I feel like anybody that's listening to me already knows what I'm about, and they're not gonna, doesn't really matter. But you should share this video if you feel like there's someone that may relate to this information, because mind control is real. A lot of people think they're going crazy right now, when in fact, they're being fucked with. They're being targeted. And they're being targeted in a very specific way right now to create protests, riots, killing of people, losing their minds, killing themselves. It's real, people. It's serious, and we need to get real about it. I'm tired of being so calm. I'm tired of being neutral. I'm tired of being the silent majority, knowing what the fuck is going on and not speaking to it because I don't want to hurt anybody's fucking feelings. And I don't want them to hate me. Well, guess what? If you're hating me for discerning and being in the truth, I don't know what to say to you, man. I really don't. Because if you're projecting anything onto me, that just means you need to look at yourself. I'm doing the research. I've got my head straight in it. I'm on the front lines. My head is not in the fucking sand. My ass is not in the air. My ass is in the chair. Sitting here, paying attention. Like it always has been. I haven't changed one iota. I am the same person I was 10 years ago. The only difference is I've learned a few things, and I've grounded into this space, and I know who the fuck I am, and I'm not willing for anybody else to tell me who the fuck I am, or question my intelligence or my integrity based on what I have researched and know to be true from my own experience. People are dying, and not from a virus. That's only one way that people are dying, supposedly. They will do anything to keep people in a state of fear and confusion, so you don't know which way is up. Don't be one of those people. Get the clarity that you need. Figure it out. Seriously. We don't have time to sit on the sidelines anymore, you guys. The election is in less than a month. It's in a month. November 3rd is like a month and a few days away. It's not going to get easier in the next month. This is going to be Red October, you guys. Like, they're not going to back down. Nobody's going to back down. The energy is going to get super fucking intense, you guys. I can feel it in my body. I know what's coming. And a lot of us know what's coming. Prepare yourself. Be grounded. Take care of yourself. Take baths. Take a break. Go in the ebb and flow of what you need to take care of yourself so you don't get maxed out, so your central nervous system doesn't go hijack. Take supplements, amino acids, collagen, bone broth. And if you're a vegan, find a way to get omega-3s in your body. And calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron. You can get the homeopathic boron things like this, right? Phosphorus. This one's 6, but I have the 30. This thing is like $6.99, okay? This right here saves my ass. Nat Muir, okay? Nat Muir. These are all the cell salts, the tissue cell salts, the core tissue salts, the foundational minerals of your body that your body needs to be able to function. This is really important, you guys. Stock your cabinets. You're going to need beans and rice. I'm just saying. You're going to need a garden. If you have any land at all, plant a fucking garden right now with roots, kale, carrots, celery, cauliflower, squash, things that will grow and that are hardy in the winter. Or you can even get an inside thing and grow lettuce and sprout seeds. I'm not kidding. I've never said this before. Ever. They are planning a food shortage, and we need to make sure that we are all capable of taking care of ourselves, especially if you're in the United States. Just saying. And good morning. If anyone's watching from England, I love you. I hope you guys are okay. Blessings to you over there and anywhere else in the world that you may be watching me from. Please take care of yourselves, okay? This is a very hard time, and a lot of us feel really lonely and isolated. We need to have human connection. We need to get on the phone with our people that we feel grounded with, that we know love us, no matter what. Even if they have a difference of opinion, who fucking cares? That should not get in the way of the love that we feel for each other, that brought us together in the first place. People can have difference of opinions without fucking annihilating each other. We can agree to disagree. It's okay. It really is, man. Your political views should not determine your friendships or the people that you love and care about, your family members. There are so many divorces and so many families having trouble right now because of what's going on in the world. We need to stick together with the people that love us and that we love. We need to check up on people, see how they're doing. Hey, how are you? Are you okay? I love you. Reach out to the people that you care about. Regardless of whatever their political views are, it doesn't fucking matter. Community is not about politics. Friends and family are not about politics. Politics is only one factor of reality. It's not the end-all be-all. And people, their values get caught up in the political vernacular, if you will. What they do is they touch on people's core values, right? That's how they trigger people. That's how they hook people in, is through their civil liberties and their core values. So defining what yours are and what you need for your life is really important right now. And it's okay if someone else has a different viewpoint. It really is. Let's stop fighting with each other. Like, for real. Let's stop. And if you haven't done the research and you don't know what's going on, please, I implore you to take some time. Please, take some fucking time. And do a little research and figure out what's truth. If all of your news sources are mainstream media like CNN or, the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post or, any entertainment related news whatsoever, right? Go towards alternate news sources. And it doesn't have to be like a conspiracy theory website, but there's One American News Network. There's News Now, and there's Fox News, which both sides on Fox News, they have Democrat and Republican. They have a lot of information. I used to hate Fox News. I used to hate all of these I don't like any of this. I don't like doing this. You think I want to spend my time fucking doing this? No. But what I'm interested in is having all the information and being able to make an informed decision for myself of where I stand and what I represent and what I can be a part of and participate and contribute to in terms of a positive outcome. That's why the details are important. Positive outcome. Not of the election, of this entire tunnel that we are in. We need the light at the end of the tunnel. We need there to be light on the end of the, there's got to be an end to that fucking tunnel. There has to be light. Period. I'm over it, man. And we're in the tunnel. We're not getting out of the tunnel for a while, you guys. So, I love you. I'm going to go eat some food and take care of myself. I made curry and dal tonight. I'm so proud of myself. Okay. I love you. I hope you have a beautiful, blessed day or evening wherever you are. Talk again soon. Bye.